Hey, and we're live. Huffa Day Guam, Mariana's Islands. Hello, world. Welcome back yet again for another episode of the Social Progress Podcast. Yes, I'm so excited for everyone to be here today. Huffa Day, what's going on, everybody? Saturday, how's everybody's Saturday going? Hello, hello. Appreciate everyone jumping on. We're going to give it a couple minutes to get a couple people in here. Got my co-host coming in. I'm super excited, as you guys saw on the flyer, our topic for today. So we're going to jump in. Jerica, what up, bro? Hi, Dovey. Woo woo. Here we go. Please bear with me, guys. My internet keeps jumping in and out, literally. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So you guys, we have a special co-host coming on. Please put forward, welcome her, drop the Guam flags down in the comments. She is from Guahan, and we want to show some support and some love. So drop them Guam flags down, drop them red hearts down, wave her in, welcome her in. We're going to now in 3, 2, and we're live. Don't do. Hey, there we go. Hey,
How are you?
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Getting
Good,
hot.
good.
Anticipation is killing me.
I know I do this all the time, but I get nervous every single time.
Oh,
Thank you for coming on though, fam. I appreciate it.
of course.
Yes, yes. So everybody, as you guys saw by the flyer, this is Johnette. Say hello, drop you guys love down in the comments. The topics that we're going to be talking about today is can you share that? My brain just
So today
no.
we're gonna talk about my loss of my first child and the drug addiction that I battled afterwards. These are some pretty big topics. Do you want me to get into it now?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, all right. So I'm from Guam. I was born there, lived there till I was 9, came out. Anyways, just to fast forward, I ended up being a crazy teenager and I had my first child at 16. And I did everything that I could to just mature up and be a good mom. I read all the books. I was on Baby Center and I was going crazy, like just trying to be the best that I could be. Even at a young age, I just wanted to take it seriously. And I had a friend who was pregnant at the same time with me, and she was just getting big. Her belly was just getting big, and I wasn't. And I brought it up to my doctor. I was like, I don't think baby's growing. And they just like dismissed it, I think, for me being young and for whatever reason else. And it wasn't until I was maybe 8 months pregnant that they checked baby's size and found out that he had a genetic disorder. And, the books don't prepare you for that. They don't prepare you for not the picture perfect, whatever, like you see on movies that, babies just come out fine and there's no sickness or anything like that. So that was tough. My boy was 2 pounds and 14 ounces when he was born. And he was no bigger than an egg carton. He was so cute, but he was perfect to me. I mean, the doctor said that he probably was having a hard time hearing. He had to be fed with a tube, and all sorts of stuff. But as a young child, I mean, children shouldn't be raising children, first of all. And that was probably the first lesson that I got out of that. I did my best, but it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for me to see my friends get to play with their babies and get to, nurse them or feed them their bottle or watch them crawl or just interact and play. And my boy was in the ICU for a really long time. And being so young, I went with what the doctors said. I figured they went to school for X amount of time. These people are professionals. I'm going to put my trust in them. And thank goodness I had my mom there with me. But he had to have 2 surgeries. He had 1 surgery to get a feeding tube in his stomach. And then I don't know if they just didn't wait long enough after, but I don't think his body he had to get he had to have heart surgery as well. And I just think that for his tiny little body, that was just too much. And so on my 17th birthday, I woke up and he passed away. And man, I was just devastated. I was just devastated completely. I mean, for one, you didn't think it was going to be like that when I first had him, and then finding out that he had all of these struggles, and me just doing my best. And I was mad. I was so mad. I didn't understand what I possibly could have done to have all of this heartbreak and trauma. It just didn't make sense to me. And I remember that day perfectly. I could tell you minute by minute what was happening, but I don't remember anything afterwards. I don't know if my body was just in so much shock, but for the next few months, I don't remember what I did, where I was, and I ended up coping with drinking, and it wasn't long before I got into drugs, so that was pretty tough. And I hated my birthday, so that was really hard. Like, my boy passed away on my birthday, and so for me, it was like every year I hated it and I had to be gone. I was either wasted out of my mind or I was as high as I could get. I didn't want to be home. I was just, in my head, I was trying to kill myself slowly to make it back to my boy. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted, was to get back to my boy. And man, I didn't think about the hole I was digging myself. It's so crazy to think about that. And another thing is, I coped with that grief with so much drug use that I just don't. It's hard to believe I live like that now. I have 5 years sober, and it took me losing everything before I could get my life together. And it wasn't until this last time that I had went to treatment that I even was able to forgive myself for losing my son, because that played a big role in it. Parents aren't supposed to bury your children, and when you do, it's just almost unheard of. And there's nothing that makes you feel more alone, which is why I agreed and was kind of excited to talk with you about this stuff, because when it happened to me, I was never more alone in my whole entire life. Even though I had all my friends, all my family coming to see me, coming to, call me and message me and ask what they could do, there was nothing that makes you feel more alone than you losing your child. And so I just got lost in the world for a long time, and had kids in the meantime even. And I ran so hard from that pain that then I lost my 2 living children to ICW, that's Indian Child Welfare, so they got placed with family. And I went 2 years, or no, I don't even remember honestly now. It's like 2 to 4 years I was just gone. I just couldn't handle my life. And I feel for my mom. I feel for her. She stood by me, and I drove her crazy. And but yeah, I finally got to the point where I was using so much and I was burning so many bridges that I was kicked out of the house. I didn't have anywhere to go. Even the people I was using with, I didn't feel like even wanted me around. There was literally no point I felt like to live. I basically wanted to die. I was just too afraid to pull the trigger myself, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't brave enough to just take my life. And that was when it kind of snapped in my head, like, wow, if you're not ready to pull the trigger, then maybe let's try something different.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of a counselor and I told them to send me as far away as they could. I was like, just send me so far away that no one will want to pick me up and that I can't just walk home if I decide to leave. And so I went to 6 months of inpatient treatment after a week of detox. And it was scary. I wasn't even sure what I was doing. I tried to leave. I got out of detox and my whole attitude was just, fuck it. I don't care. I still don't care. I still don't care. And I tried to leave. And I was packing my bags, and my roommate like came in while I was packing my shoes, and she just begged me not to leave her alone. And I don't know, I still had some good in me, and I was like, all right, I'll stay a little longer. And it was the best thing I ever did. It was the best thing I've ever did. I live so completely different now. um, Within the 5 years that I've been clean, I had gotten my own place, and we're now home. I'm a first time homeowner. I got my car, my license. I've got 3 kids. My youngest will never, ever, ever get to see me drunk or high or know what it's like to be without me. He doesn't know what it's like to not have his siblings around or to not see his mom. Like that makes me happy that he won't, ever get to say that. Um, what else? I guess you want to hit me with some questions?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Actually, I just wanted to reflect on some of the things you said in the beginning. So, first of all, just thank you so much for coming on, man. You like put the definition of testimony into just the title and the whole podcast thing. And I say that because you see, the thing is, the fact is, for the both of us and for everybody listening, the fact is that we all go through traumatic things throughout our life. And I know that as we're young people, and for okay, so see, first of all, our age group is the beginning of the age group where mental health, mental awareness, all these
Yeah.
topics have started to become talked about, and not to say
Mhm.
that it was talked about in a positive way. It was talked about like you're crazy, that's
Mhm.
you're like insane, you don't know what you're doing, or like labeling you, right? So
Mhm.
in our time, if you were to talk about this maybe in high school, people would have said like she's selfish, how could she do that to her kids,
Right.
X, Y, and Z. So our parents and our grandparents and older than us, they didn't really have those resources and those tools. So mental health and awareness has been spoken about, but it was even worse. It was excuse me, it was even worse than what we were experiencing. So you coming on and talking about these topics, it really just puts definition, and it's like we can't even say like our generation. I don't want to even hear myself or anybody saying like our generation is not doing, like, bro, we are taking mental health for what it is, and we are legitimately normalizing it to be this thing and to be accepted. So
That's
thank
right.
you so much for that, for being so transparent. The comments, people's hearts are choking right now. Thank you for being so transparent and showing everybody. Yes. So I just want to talk about the beginning, so we'll backtrack. So you were pregnant, you're a teen mom,
Mhm.
and then you lost, you're pregnant, you went through that whole process, and then you ended up losing the baby, not just losing him, but on your birthday, as a matter of
Mhm.
fact. So that is another thing that could have been hard as well. Like, how did you feel? Like, think back to like when you were that age, right? How did you, I mean, of course we all know, but can you like give a one example about how you felt in that moment, like from what you can recall, and then also like give advice to somebody who may be that age when you're going through that experience, and maybe give them something, some sort of advice for like right now.
So I felt like God was punishing me. The minute that I woke up and saw that like the life was gone from his eyes, I felt like God was punishing me because I was such a hard teenager. I would run off and I was drinking before then. It was all about being cool and You know, I was doing a lot of things that I obviously shouldn't have been doing. And I honestly felt like God was punishing me. You know, we grew up really Catholic, and you know, I never was taught that God punishes or like was spiteful like that. But in that moment, that's what I felt like. I was like, wow, I quit going to church. I quit respecting my parents. I started lying, and I'm being punished. I'm being punished by God. Um, and I accepted it. I was like, yeah, I need it. Like, who does this? And the advice that I would give to someone who's going through something like that is to reach out and to not run from your feelings and to feel it. And it's scary. It is very scary because they're big, big feelings for someone so young to feel. But write it down in a notebook. Everything, just everything that you're thinking of. If you can't find anyone that you trust to talk to, oh, get a piece of paper and just write down random stuff going through your head, like I feel lonely, I feel hurt, I feel sad, I feel lost, I don't believe that I am worthy to be alive. You know, like if you just, or it's called a brain dump. If you just can do that, at least there's something about putting pen to paper that almost releases you emotionally. But if there's anybody watching that is going through something like that, please feel free to message me anytime, because no one should ever be alone like that.
I feel like just even as a parent though, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
even as a parent, like even though you know, you never went through something like the loss of a child, it's still super cool, you know, to take your story and for them to share kind of what, you know, what they're going through, even if it doesn't relate. Because the good thing about that is like everybody can connect and support each other, because regardless of what we're going through, I feel we all, you know, feel the same way, we hurt the same way, we grieve the same way. And it's very healthy and very important for us to not only talk about it, so thank you for saying, you know, to write it down, because that's one thing that I try to remind myself every day too. A couple weeks ago, I was reflecting through my journal because, you know, it was like the end of the year and like I just wanted to see like what was life. And I'm like, what the heck? But there was a lot of useful stuff, a lot of good stuff in there, that if you wrote it down to do it in the moment and you didn't do it, and it's something that's close to your heart, it's still something that you can reflect off and do like currently or in the future.
That's
So
right.
that's a good, hmm
Yep.
yes, the comments are going off. Great advice, wisdom.
And another thing that I want to say, and this is for any parents of any age that experiences the loss of a child, no matter how old the child is that you lost, the pain is equally as painful for any parent, no matter how old the child is. But this is when the light clicked on for me, and I knew that God wasn't punishing me. He was just waiting for me to open my eyes.
Mhm.
Is
Mhm.
you know, I met somebody in treatment who had lost their child, and I was able to help them through that because it had already been a couple years since, you know, and I knew then that that's what God had intended for me. And yes, it is painful, and yes, you know, it's not fair for parents to bring children into the world and then lay them to rest, but God has a purpose for us all, and for me, it's to help other parents who go through this. When we go through anything in life, anything at all, I mean it. The reason that we go through the things isn't for us to throw a pity party. That is not what is intended. These are lessons. They're lessons. And it's up to us to find the gift in that and then to share it. You know, that's how you take the power away from the pain, is you share how you got through it with the next person, with the next generation, you know? And that's what I found. I love it. It is. It's the truth. And like I've had people message me and be like, "I'm so thankful that you shared this. I'm going through something similar. What can I do?" And I'm like, "Yes, like, you know, X, Y, and Z. This is what I did. This is what I wish I did, and this is what I'm doing now." And it's that's for anything in life. Man, if you get in a car wreck or you trip over your shoe or you lose a child or you have you're in recovery or anything, it doesn't matter. It's our purpose in life is to share and to, you know, be a service to other people. that's how you free yourself. That's how you'll do that.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And I just want to share with you and everyone on here as well. Um, I'm glad you shared that about finding the gift in our, hardships and our struggles because, like lately I feel like this has been happening to me for a while now, ever since I hit like 24, 25. But lately I feel like more and more before, more than ever before, I've been getting all these different messages as far as just like trusting the process, accepting things for what it is. And a quick example would be, I got fired from this job that I love so much. And this job, I feel like gave me hope, right? Back into my soul. Because before this job, I was working in sales and I was doing sales, customer service for 4 to 5 years. And throughout that time, it was fun and games in the beginning, right? I was so young, so
Mm-hmm.
I was making money and stuff. Woo! And then after a couple of years, it just started burning out. And so going to that job, which is a homeless shelter,
Thank you.
and working with youth, it really put like hope and just love back into me, and sort of like a light and a path. And so in the beginning of the last year, which is when COVID hit, I actually got let go from there, and I was having a really hard time because I was really looking at that job as something that like I was going to be in for a while. I was really climbing up the ladder, to get to this top point, for their youth program or whatever. But more and more every day, God just keeps on showing me. Like one of my friends the other day, Marion, she reminded me, like, hey, when one door closes, another door will open. And that was another thing that I was struggling with, is I was having a hard time with school. I actually shared it with you a little bit as well. And so I was bummed out about that and stuff like that. But I really need to remind myself, and I'm talking about it because I want to be a reminder to other people too, that regardless of what it is, like even the hardest of the hardest, even in the moment, in that day, in that month, you'll feel down about it and lost about it. Pick yourself back up, because there truly is a purpose in it. And for you to come from where you came from and where you are now, to be able to say that is super amazing. Which it brings me to my next reflection and comment as well. You lost the baby on your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
That is just hard in itself, because you have a birthday every year, and it's yet another reminder of another year. But I know, it's getting better for you, and like you said, you're accepting it and sorts like that. What can you share in regards to that? Because I actually know a couple people who have lost somebody on their birthday, or had went through hardship on their birthday, and a lot of the people, they all say the same thing. It's like, I might as well not be living anymore, or I don't celebrate birthdays. Like, they're just not looking forward to it. So, what can you say about that?
Well, I didn't want to celebrate my birthday for years. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, I decided that was selfish of me because my mom wanted to call and tell me happy birthday. My brothers would call me and tell me happy birthday. My fiance would want to take me out to do something. The kids were, my kids were trying to do stuff with me for my birthday. And it just finally hit me was I was being selfish all those years. Just, you know, I don't want to say throwing a pity party because I don't want to be insensitive, but it's a pity party. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It sucks. And I
Yep.
know it's
Yeah.
ugly to hear, but um, you were born on that day. It's still a special day. And for me, I decided as well that I was going to celebrate my birthdays because my son couldn't. He doesn't have a chance to, celebrate life. So I will celebrate my life and his life on my day instead of grieving and being down. And, I do still grieve on that day, but I'm more focused on trying to celebrate for the both of us because they live on no matter what with our memories, but that you shine a little brighter and they shine a little brighter on you when you're focusing on the good things. And that's what I would say is stop being
Yeah.
selfish and start honoring honoring them, honoring their memory, you know?
Yeah. I could just imagine that just takes so much strength. I'm like lost for words right now. So that takes a lot of strength, bro. Just because it's like, like, but like you said, you still grieve. So for everybody out there, including you and myself as well, and you too, since this is your story, um, even though, like, it's been so many years or whatever the case is, we're still going to grieve through the things that, we go through, and the hardships that we go through and loss. And I think that breaking the silence and breaking the barrier, ending the stigma, is embracing that and talking about that and accepting that for what it is. To know that, like, on this day, it doesn't need to be perfect. I don't know. I could grieve for 1 hour. I can grieve for 10 hours. I can grieve for the whole day. It doesn't need to be, this big thing or whatever the case is. We can all still, the family, your husband, your kids, you guys could all do something together, and it could be, however it is. There's no, like you said in the beginning, with being a mom as well, there's no, book or no instructions on that as well. So the comments, I
I
keep
know.
losing
Thank you
my.
guys, everybody commenting. Thank you. I was sweating bullets before I came on. I was like counting down. I was like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm getting hot.
Yeah, so for everyone that's just coming in, I forgot to say in the beginning, but there's a question box in the bottom. So if you guys have any specific questions, we
Yes.
are going to open the floor up for you guys to ask your specific questions. Utilize this resource to be as open as humanly possible. This is a safe space to be in. Everybody that's here, they're all lovers and supporters, family and friends of ours. So this is a safe space for you guys to just open up and just ask those questions, or even say those comments that you guys want to say. And for that being said, there was the last thing, if my brain can collect itself,
You were
that I
supposed to be
wanted
taking
to.
notes.
Girl, what? Girl, oh, okay, that's true actually. Oh, so testimony. You said that in the beginning you thought that God was punishing you, right?
He had a
And
plan.
you accept it. At first you stopped going to church. You weren't following direct, paying attention to your parents and stuff like that. And then you said it turned around after some time, that you realized that that was his plan for you.
Mhm.
And I could just imagine how challenging and difficult that is. And you said that your purpose is to help people, who have lost children as well. So, my whole podcast, the Social Progress podcast, if anybody takes some time to look up social progress, you guys, it seems like there's no set definition for it, because it's almost like it's like a noun and a verb at the same time, which is like, okay. So it's like a thing or a person or people, and then taking action on. So what I had found and what I had looked up is that social progress basically means providing the community, providing with the people with the basic necessities that they need to survive, regardless of if that's health, mental, physical, emotional health, sustainable way of living, clean water, clean food, a job to work out, all of those things. So, with that being said, and just with the theme of the podcast, and with you saying that, that's God's plan for you, right? To help other people. What would be your overall advice on that, towards like the people with the word social progress in mind? Basically, like, see, bro, what's going on here? Basically, to explain the definition in your way and your situation.
Okay. Tell me the word again.
Social progress.
Social progress. Um, Shoot, I don't know. When I hear the word social progress, I think about us as a society moving forward and crossing those healthy boundaries that we need in order to, get through life, because life changes, you know. That's what social progression is to me anyways. I mean, we are not like my, you know, it's funny because my mom had me when she was in her 40s. And so like our age gap was crazy, but she raised me as if I was like my brother and my sister and them, you know, like I was in their generation. And that's, I'm 20 some years younger than them. And so, you know, even now, my kids are not being raised like I, you know, in the same world that I was raised in. I used to leave and disappear for, you know, my mom would let me leave from sun up to sundown as long as I was back in my bed at the end of the day. I don't even let these guys go to the mailbox. You know what I mean? I mean, things are just different. So we have to evolve. We have to progress, socially progress as a whole, as a community. Um, and sometimes it starts off super small, like just like this, if it was just me and you even just talking, but that's still social progress, you know, to
Yes.
plant those seeds. It's about planting seeds and then, you know,
Yes.
hopefully watering them, you know.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I like the way you said that, planting the seeds as well, because that's also something that I've been talking to my mom a lot about, just with life and everything that we have in it as well. And that message has been coming in my mind too, because I'm like this crazy person that is like, if I'm interested with something, like I want to get it done and I want to get it done now. And so I hold myself to like this biggest like standard, and try to like push myself to like make it perfect and to do it just like that. And I have to remind myself all the time that like I need to slow down, because it's not just going to happen just like that. As a matter of fact, there's going to be stop signs, there's going to be left and right turns, there's going to be potholes like on Guam, there's going to be
Oh no.
everybody got potholes, yo, don't play with me.
Well, you got to think about
um
it as like literally planting something though. Like,
yeah,
you know, that's what it
it
hit
takes
me because I
time.
was being told, yeah, like if I were to plant a coconut tree today, I can't go pick coconut tomorrow. That's something I'm going to have to nurture and come back to and be patient with. And then in a while it'll be, you know, full
Yes.
bloom.
Yes.
Yes.
And just to close off the topic of the social progress, one of the major things that I really want to do, and I've been getting so many signs to do this, and I'm doing it right now, putting it together right now, is one of the major things I really want to do, and the reason why I'm doing these kind of things is to literally bring the people together, like legit put unity back. I saw
Yeah, I
that.
know. Plant them in the potholes. Yeah, I agree.
I saw that meme. It's so funny. Um, but just bringing unity back into the community, and I feel like with the coronavirus, it has shown us as a world that like it's not just California that's struggling through this thing, it's not just Washington that's struggling, it's not just Guam, it's all of us as a whole. So it's literally like going back to when we used to be able to trust one another and help and support one another. And so one of the things that would like to do is to pretty much create a group of like-minded people who are here talking about these topics as well. So, with that being said, what kind of advice can you give somebody that is struggling through anything that they're going through, and someone that just kind of like believes like this is it, like how you were saying right when you were younger, like this is it for me, like I just kind of want to like go, I want to let go, there's nothing more, just someone who is just in a really dark space that they believe like they can't pull themselves out. Being that you have experienced it, what would be your personal advice to give to them?
Oh man, my personal advice would be give yourself some grace. Take it easy on yourself because we're human. And I think society has planted a really crazy seed in our head that says that we need to be perfect, we need to have X, Y, and Z done by this age. And we're basically in a society that sets us up to fail because none of us are perfect. But so give yourself some grace, give yourself a little bit of a break, and know that you're hardwired for mistakes because we're human and that's how we learn. It's through trial and error, and that's with everything: driving, riding, you know, anything. Life doesn't come with no
Um,
instructions. Even when stuff comes with instructions, I don't read them. So it's trial and error, you know.
or we still
Um,
don't understand it even
I
with the
still don't
instructions.
get it. But take it easy on yourself. And the most important thing to know is that when you feel alone, that is your ego telling you that you're alone. Because how in this whole entire world you're the only one going through what you're going through? That's ego saying that you are the only one, the only individual in the world. That's what I told myself. I'm the only individual that's ever lost their child at this age. I'm the only individual that's struggled with all this drug addiction and, you know, all this other stuff. That's just not the truth. So, um, you know, take it easy on yourself and just know that you're not alone, because there's a peace in that, you know. There's a You can find peace and comfort in knowing, like, I'm not the only one. There are other people out here going through the same thing and they survived. Maybe I should reach out to them. Maybe I should go and, you know, support groups are pretty much the bomb, and they sound ridiculous and corny, but you can find them just about anywhere. If you don't want to go in person, you can find them online. um, you need to find a group of people who are going through what you have or are going through, because they're going to provide the building blocks to how to get through that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. Wow, just every time we have these, like, I just know these conversations are just so powerful, and I just want to hold space again to say thank you for coming on. I'm so grateful to just have this platform and have people like yourself and everybody in the comments supporting, because it's just so important. And I actually have an announcement towards the end of the live, so you guys stick around after the conversation. You know, everybody has seen all these little things that I'm doing, and so now I want to kind of piece it together and kind of present it to you guys. I want to put the definition into everything that I'm doing, and I want to let you guys know what I'm doing, so that way you guys can support me even further than you guys already are. But with that, my last question for you, and maybe we can jump into some questions that the people in the comments have. So just a reminder for everyone that's jumping back in as well, please use the chat box or the question box, and put your questions in there, so that way we can address them and we can share them with everybody, so we could all see what we're doing here. But with that being said, and just the whole theme of everything that I'm doing and your story, what can you yourself do to implement social progress in your everyday life? You know, no matter how big or small, the tiniest gesture to do to give in to your purpose that you're saying that God gave you, to help others that are struggling in the same case as you as well. It's something
Um,
that you can do for yourself and for everybody, to take that one little step to share with the whole world, have it be privately or publicly, whatever the case is.
well, for one, I teach my kids. Um, I'm doing something so different than how I was growing up. We talk about things big and small. Of course, at like an age appropriate level, but I I tell them all the time, we're talking about feelings. We're identifying those feelings. We're talking about consequences and actions, and you know, I mean, they're so sick and tired of me giving these talks, but I have to. They have to know. I want them to be emotionally intelligent, because when I'm gone, they're going to be the ones to pass on the messages. They're going to be the ones to be helping their generation. So that's the one thing that I do. Also, I'm forever keeping an eye and an ear out for people who are hurting in any way. And if there's a way that I can help or even just be there to listen, I'm there. I always kind of put myself in there. You know, I'm like sliding in their DMs. And I'm like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm here for you. And even if I don't know them very well, I just think it's so important that people know that they're not alone.
Right. Yeah. Uh, uh, I think that that's great. And you know what? I just want to point out that first off, you know, you pointed out your kids, right? And I think that's super awesome and that's super amazing, because usually, like, with us, wanting to lend a hand and be a helper, we'll always think about like other people and, putting it out. But I feel like, and I was just having a conversation about this with a couple of people actually, is like, if we truly want to make change, and that was another reason why I started doing everything that I'm doing online, is because with the whole protesting and everything that has been going on ever since then, I've been seeing a lot of the young people out there, which is so beautiful, and I'm so grateful to see that. But I feel like it's super it's backwards, and the kids are being misguided. So I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not just gonna like not, do anything. So that's one of the major reasons why. But that's topic for another conversation as well. But what I wanted to point out was that's super amazing that you are thinking about starting it in your own household before even trying to work on any other household or the community, because it all first starts in our homes. Like, I know we always hear that growing up, anything that happens, like, oh, it's in their household. But like, it's like now we're not like shaking our head or pointing our fingers at it. It's like legitimately it starts in our household, regardless if the topic is embarrassing or like you don't want anyone to know, whatever the case is. So that's super great that you're doing that. I truly appreciate that. And another thing too is you mentioned emotional intelligence. I'm actually reading a book that's on emotional intelligence, bro. For everyone that is in here, y'all have to check it out. I was actually looking. That's why I was looking around, because I'm trying to see where the book is. I'm on the last chapter, but emotional intelligence is a billion 100,000 times more important than school intelligence and the intelligence of the brain and the studies and all that stuff, because to put an example, I guess an analogy or what a simple example of it is that you can be the smartest person in the classroom and you can have like straight A's all the way, and you have a test for that day, right? And you had a bad day outside of school. Maybe, you had a bad day at the house. I don't care how many times you studied. I don't care how many flashcards you wrote. If you go into that classroom and you try to take that test, you're gonna fail that test. Not like you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail that test though, because you're distracted. Like, mentally and emotionally, you're distracted, and you're not gonna even feel you want to do it. You're not gonna be thinking clearly. You're gonna be so focused on what's going on in the house that even though you think like, okay, let me just get this test over so I can get out and the day can go on, you're still bum rushing through it, and it's not gonna be you're not going to pass as much as you would if your head was in the clear. So check out that book. I'll actually tag it in the comments when I upload the video and stuff, so if anyone is listening can check it out. So yes, Johnette, you are a very wise woman. Yes, queen.
I know.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's overwhelming because I feel like I've been through, man, I lived way too fast, Chelsea. I lived way too fast. And it's crazy because I see my friends that are the same age as me, and I'm like a grandma compared to them. But I lived like extra fast. I mean, I already went through that stuff just super fast mode. But
Right.
I think that was a part of the plan though too. I was gonna say
Yes.
this earlier and I forgot, but it was funny because I was thinking about the other day just my life and trying to be present, and thinking of everything that I have and who I have in my life. And I remember when I had my son, I was like really I made a promise to myself that I was never going to that for one, I was going to start working in the medical field, and I was going to be a NICU nurse. I wanted to do that. And then I decided that it was just going to be me and my boy. I was just going to stay single for the rest of my life. I wasn't going to have any more kids because he needed all of me. And that was what I decided. And so it was crazy when I lost him, because then I was like, wow, like I had already had my whole life set. I'm just adjusting to what he needed. And I was thinking about it the other day, my two sons wouldn't be alive right now. I wouldn't be in this house right now. I would, my life would be completely 100% in every single way different, you know? And that's what's so crazy to me. And I know that God knew that I needed to have these boys in the world they needed to be taught the things that I'm teaching them. My daughter needed me to help her through the things she's going through. You know, God had God works his way, you know, so that's a good way to think about things when you're grieving and you're mourning and stuff, you know. Just try and find the gift. It sounds funny, but there's a gift in everything.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah. No, it sounds funny, but it's legit and it's true because it's like I actually was reminded today and I wrote it down here. Give love when all you get is hate. And so when I think about that, and everybody sees the stuff I do online, right? They think like I'm like Saint Mary or whoever, Mother Teresa. I'm not Mother Teresa, people. They're just like, all the comments and, all the messages. It's just so inspiring, right? But even for me, it's hard. And so I had to write that down. Give love even when all you get is hate. And I thought about that and I was like, man, I would think that that's so easy because all of like just the things that I know about, mindfulness, therapy stuff, or just anything, right? But when you're down into the actual situation, to it's a very hard thing to do because we have emotions ourselves. We feel these things ourselves. And once, somebody messes with us in that way or whatever, or we're going through a hardship, our emotional intelligence and just our what is it? Like our productive thinking, it's gonna go out the window because we're going through this situation that's pretty much going against us. Um I like my mom, y'all, because she keep it real. She
I
said,
love
you ain't Mother Teresa, but you're close though.
it.
But yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And for everybody asking in the comments, I actually got the book. It's called EQ Applied, and it's by Justin Bariso. It's a really easy read. It's like 9 chapters, but it's very, very impactful. I already recommended to one person, Alicia. I think she's still in here. Shout out to you, girl. But she has loved the book as well, and it basically talks about um just utilizing our emotions as a tool instead of this barrier that we look at it as. And that was very important for me to know because my mother and my whole family knows that I am super emotional. And when I was in high school and middle school, the way that I dealt with my emotions was getting into fights and punching things and breaking things. And it's not nothing that I'm proud of, but it is the truth. So that's that. And this talks about how we can utilize our emotions to actually work for us instead of against us. So I'll also link the book in the description. It's for like about 10 to 12 bucks depending on where you get it at. I kind of got it a long time ago at Amazon before I was kind of like not wanting to support Amazon because personal reasons. Hey y'all, support small business. Amazon is this big thing, but it's okay. But they have it like at Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and it's super affordable. It's a really great read. With that being said, we're going to jump into some questions. So everybody in the comments, boom, boom, drop your questions in the question box so we can address that. And we got our first question, the real Norma J. What advice can you give someone who was having suicidal thoughts because of their issues and situations? Great question.
I would say, man, I've been there. I say take a deep breath and tell yourself, this is going to sound funny, but when you're in a moment like that, you got to take it moment by moment. So what I would do is tell myself like, okay, I'm not going to do it today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, but as of right now, I'm not going to do that today. And then you just keep repeating that until it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I would say again, reach out or do a brain dump because I'm the type of person, if you're like me, you don't want to reach out to people, one, because you think you're a burden, and for two, because your self-worth is just down the drain and you think they don't even want to hear that. But so you can write it down, write down everything that you feel. This is what I tell my girl because she has a really hard time with that stuff. This generation especially, they I don't know, it's just funky. But if you write it down, And even just tell yourself at the same time, I'm not, maybe I'll do that tomorrow, but as of today, I'm not going to do that. And then you can reflect tomorrow on what you wrote down and be like, wow, okay, so I made it through that.
Yeah.
And don't run from it. Don't run from it is what I'm going to say. And it feels like this is what it was for me, is I felt like my tears were never going to end. It was never going to get better. And you just need to know that that's not the truth. It's, how do I say it? Feelings aren't bad. Happiness is not the only good feeling. People have to understand that all feelings serve a purpose, and I think society makes it look like if you're not smiling and laughing and partying it up, that you're not living an okay life or you're not doing good as a person, and that's not the truth. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, even the
Right.
people who have it all have their days where they're irritated, they're sad, they're depressed, I think that's probably the worst part. I feel for celebrities because they're supposed to be happy all the time, you know? So you just need to know that you're human and it's okay.
Right. Right. And honestly, thank you for that again. I appreciate it. That's just amazing advice, and everything that you're saying, it's talking to me as well in one way or another with my personal experience that I'm going through. But out of everything that we've been talking about right now, it all points towards reaching out. It all points towards like, hey, we're telling each other that we're going through this, we're talking about it. So the next time you're like, oh man, I can't like tell my cousin this because we got in trouble, we fought with each other, who runs the fastest down the coconut tree, and we're mad and everything. So whatever the case is, or like, oh, people say like, oh, just let them go, like let them be in their own space, which is true. But it's always
To an
important to check
extent.
in. Don't be afraid to reach out. And if somebody says, hey, I'm fine, thank you for reaching out, I appreciate it, I just need some time or whatever it is, don't be afraid to reach out the next week or 2 weeks from there, or a day from there, and be like, hey, giving your space, but just checking in, seeing whatever the case is, and give them some time or whatnot. But after all we've talked about, it all just sounds like reaching out, being there for each other, supporting each other. And you were talking about your daughter's generation. I think what it is there was a shift for like around 1990s and the 2000s, and our technology, our resources, and just the development of the world has progressed in such a big way that now we have so much, right? When we have so much, we have so many options. But not only that, with the technology and the social media, when we were going into school, it was probably really hard with the bullying and, the teasing and all of that. Could you imagine how it is now with the cell phones and people actually being able to take videos, do group chats and send these group chats like, oh, Chelsea like farted today in class, like, ooh,
They were
and just
actually, my girl went through that actually when we lived in Everett. There were little girls who were getting on their lives and talking about her, and she was devastated. And I had to explain to her that when people do that, for one, kids who do that don't have parents who are guiding them and on them enough, because like when my kids do that, we're talking about it, and we're placing action, and there's discipline with that because we don't treat others that way. And so I explained to them, they don't have a mom or a dad that's sitting down and telling them that this is not okay to treat someone that way. And for two, hurt people hurt people. Somebody hurt that kid along the way, whether it be their parents, their cousins, their other friends, you know, and it's projection, you know. I mean, and I've had it both ways. In all my life, I've been, I feel like I was either the bully or I was being bullied. But when I was the bully, it was because I was feeling some sort of way about myself. And I wanted to make myself feel better by projecting my hurt onto someone else. And it's the same way. And I have to remind myself that about people today, Um, I am who I am. For 2021, I decided I am who I am, and I'm going to be unapologetic about it, I'm done trying to conform and make people feel better. But yes, that's what I'm saying. And you know, the kids need to
Yo,
know that
yes,
hurt
thank
people.
you. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And it reflects back to what I was saying earlier as well. Give love when all you get is hate. And like I said, if I was getting bullied on, I would be like, but nah, like they're like being rude to me. It's so hard, right? But once we understand that and we know that there's nobody on this planet that wants to go out and just mess with somebody just for the whatever. At one point in time, we were going through a lot of school shootings, and I don't want to get too much into it and, into the political side of it or whatever, but fact is that there's no right person that's just want to go into a school and just shoot up a school. It was for a reason. There was something that happened. A couple of the people that were actually, got in trouble or they were actually shooting up, these were kids at the school. And so in that period, we were normalizing this hate. And I think that that's another reason why, I'm doing everything I'm doing. Like you said, God has a plan for all of us. His plan for me is really to just to blow up these conversations and to share with each and every one of us to kind of just like work together, put in together. So yes, if anybody doesn't have NT more questions, I'm gonna ask one more question and then we'll close it out for everybody before we run out of time here. The comments. Great advice, Johnette. Writing it down, keeping a journal. Yes. These nuts. Auntie Beck, my mom is crazy. Loca esta Norma Jean. Hurt people, say it, the truth shall set you free. If someone bullied you, I'm going to fuck them. All right, so the last question is, oh, okay, hold up, y'all. To do something. So I know you will, girl. I know you will. So the last question for me before we share, any of your contacts and any of your socials for people to reach out. One of the questions that I always ask for everything whenever I'm doing the videos or whatever is advice. I enjoy working with the youth. I enjoy working especially with teenagers. I feel like that's an age group that, we really struggle and, we start becoming who we are. Our parents, they don't have an instruction book like we said. So they try their very best, but still we're becoming our own person. So based off everything we talked about, based off your story, thinking back to like the little Johnette you were when you were struggling the deepest, if you could tell your teenage self one thing, what would that be?
I would tell myself,
Ooh, and I'm so sorry, but if you could also say, dear teenagers, so that way when I, clip it out.
okay, dear teenagers, get over yourself. That's my advice. Get over yourself. Because my dad told me for years that the world didn't revolve around me, but I thought that it did. And it sent me to thinking I was alone. It told me that I couldn't reach out. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like that shift in teenagers when they're like transitioning from being children to adults, but like they're big, but they ain't really grown. But your brain is still telling you like, I'm all sorts of grown. But get over yourself, humble yourself, and don't run from what you're feeling. You know what I mean? There's always somebody that will listen to you if you're, willing to reach out. Be brave, be courageous. Dear teenagers, be brave enough to face what you're feeling because you are strong enough.
Yes. Amen. Thank you. My mom.
But I'm
um,
serious though. That is my best advice for teenagers these days because especially like you said, like with the social media and stuff, I don't know what it is, but like the kids are all obsessed about being famous, and that is all fine and dandy, but they get way ahead over themselves and they start thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm an IG celebrity. I'm a TikTok celebrity. I don't have to do this, this, and that. No, get over yourself. You are a growing young child. Get over yourself. That's what I tell my kids all the time.
Yo, no, I definitely agree with that. And that's why I said again in the beginning, you know, it's just the influence, and the world is always growing and it's always changing, especially when we are right now. There's so many resources. And not only that, like, look, now it's like, bro, you know, you can have a trash can that's electronic. Like you could just wave it and it opens, right? You can like go and wave at the sink and like water will come out. And it's like, my bro, are we like too lazy to lift up the, you know? But it's okay. Like the world is advancing. I'm not mad at technology. I love technology, but we just have to be mindful about the impacts that it has, not only on ourselves, but our environment and the community as well. So when you say that in regards to the young people, I think another thing to that is as well is that we have to take everything as it is and to be open minded, because when you're at that age, you're like, oh my God, whatever, old lady or old man, or like you're not cool or what. And we all done it. Like I've done it at my age, you
Yeah.
know, and I regret the living. I like cry sometimes because I just real shit miss my grandma's advice to me and my grandpa's advice to me, or when my mom tells me things now, you know, like I actually listen and I take that into consideration compared to before, because they love us and they're going to be there for us and they want to support us in however way, you know, that we need it. But there's so many topics that I have to talk about just with the technology, social media, with the youth, and that was my announcement as well, everybody. Be looking out for a video. I'm going to be uploading a video pretty much explaining the reason why I'm doing everything I'm doing and how you guys can help me as well. Johnette, I freaking appreciate you coming on, holding this conversation, being so open and so honest. I need to hear more from you, and we are going to work together to continue to spread your message and your story. Can you tell us, is there anything that we can support you in? Are you doing anything like on the side for yourself, or do you want to share your social for anybody who wants to message you and just chat up?
So I'm Johnette Gerhing on Facebook, and you know, I don't really know. I mean, I'm an artist and I'm expanding like my bead empire that I have going on. Um, and then yeah, I mean, I think if I could ask for anything, I'm just asking for everybody to pray for one another, you know, keep each other in your prayers, and I hope that everyone can open up their hearts a little bit, not only for others but for themselves as well. We gotta curb that self-talk, you know what I mean? Can't pour from empty cups.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that you're speaking to probably everybody else, but to me too, girl. Yes, like let me tell you guys before we end this thing, I know that we're in, you know, we're still in this COVID era. Everyone, if you guys don't have jobs, you know, you guys are looking for jobs. I see a lot of people getting creative and starting to create things for themselves and become entrepreneurs. And like you said, your bead stuff on this, whatever it is on the side, I'm speaking to myself with this as well. We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to rush through all of it. Just take it one day at a time. The number one thing that I'm trying to work at every day, which is so hard because we can get so used to thinking that there's a tomorrow, but my number one thing is focusing on today and doing the things that I want to do today, finding the people that I can do it with today, because I don't know if tomorrow's going to be there. So it's so hard, but hopefully everybody can implement that in themselves again. Um, Anybody else have anything else to say before we close this off? Any last words from you?
Um, no, I think if I say any more, we'll be on for another hour. So
Well, thank you again for joining on. I will plug in your social media information. I will plug in the book and everything like that. And everyone on here, Puffo, but please look out for this video that I have going out. I'm not gonna give like a date or anything because then I hold myself up to the responsibility. Just whenever you pop in and you can check on it, just check on it. It'll be there eventually before the end of this month. And si Dios Masi for everybody in the comments. We read all you guys' comments. Thank you guys so much. And one last thing, if you guys can support the podcast, I'm on Spotify and Anchor, the Social Progress Podcast. This is where all the interviews are, and I think it's super cool to hear audio compared to like the video and stuff, because with the audio you really focus in and all that good stuff. So thank you so much. We'll talk again. I'll follow up with you, and you're freaking amazing, man. You're awesome. I freaking love you, dude.
You're freaking awesome, dude.
Thank you, bro.
Right? God.
For anybody who knows anybody who wants to come on and do the interview stuff, it could be just casual schmazable. It doesn't have to be all, professional or whatever the case is. Just go ahead and shoot me a DM and we'll get this thing going.
Yep. Remember, your struggles are a gift.
Your struggles are a gift. Yes. Boom. All right, y'all. Have a good Saturday.
See you, cuz. Thank you.
Oh, and also to highlight on Johnette's message again, because I super love that as well. Everything that we're going through is you find the gift, in that struggle, and everything that we're going through. I don't know what your relationship with God is, but everything is for a reason. Just trust in it. Embrace it for what it is. Ask questions, man. If you're upset and you're frustrated and you're ask questions, get mad, talk to God. Don't get too mad, all right? Because I don't want to
You could ask
no.
Google.
Yes, exactly.
Google, why do I feel like this? Alexa, why do I feel like this?
Amen. All right, guys, take it easy.
All right.
Happy Saturday.